Mark Rogers TV's College Football Predictions Week 4. But before we get to the picks, we'd like to welcome our new sponsor, GoDaddy. And throughout the video, you will see the graphics that display the offers that are presented right here on Mark Rogers TV, courtesy GoDaddy. That includes 30% off of new products and also a 99-cent special offer for .com domains. 99 cents for a .com domain for your own website. Also 30% off new products displayed by the graphics and the promo code. Just use that to get those special offers. All right, on to our Week 4 predictions. We'll remind you, and hopefully this is not the last time we can say this, because I would love to be able to say this all year. 7-0, undefeated on confidence picks against the spread. 7-0. Hit on 4 last week. If you need to know the 4, check out last week's video. In Week 3, we were also 12-7 against the spread. Full disclosure here, we didn't cut a video or release this prediction, but I took USC plus the 3 points on Friday night. That was a loss in the last 16 seconds of the game. That's how it goes. Otherwise, I felt really good about that prediction. USC led by 14 points in the second half. Then they blew it. All right, rest of the picks here, including 4 confidence picks. Michigan, Penn State, one of my favorite games each and every year, despite Penn State being down in recent years. Penn State getting 18.5 points at Ann Arbor. Yes, the Wolverines could blow them out. Yes, they will win comfortably, but take Penn State plus the 18.5 points. Michigan wins the game. North Carolina and Pitt, they battled for the division championship in the ACC last season in the Coastal. This year, North Carolina, too talented, defeats Pitt once again. Take North Carolina at home minus the 7 points against the Panthers. Baylor, Oklahoma State in a key Big 12 matchup. The Bears are probably the last bastion of hope for the Big 12. They win over Oklahoma State, but I like the Cowboys keeping it close enough, plus the 8.5 points. Louisville, Marshall, we know about Lamar Jackson. We know about the Cardinals. We know that just about every big team in the country has had a letdown. But we like the Cardinals to cover 26.5 points at Marshall in an interesting matchup for a number of reasons. Bama, Kent State, you know what I say all the time if you've ever caught me on my predictions here on Mark Rogers TV. I hate the blowout spreads because you don't know who's going to be playing in the fourth quarter, how hard they're going to be playing, or if the coaches are going to go for the jugular or go into cruise control and ride out the score. Take Kent State plus the 44 against Nick Saban's alma mater there. Bama wins, of course, big. Notre Dame, Duke. Irish cover the 19 points at home against Duke. Michigan State, Wisconsin. The first of the big games in the Big Ten this year. This is the first real big test for these two teams in conference. Of course, Wisconsin with a big win over LSU. They travel to Michigan State. They've got 5.5 points. I like the Badgers plus the 5.5 points, but take Michigan State to win the game. First confidence pick. They play on a neutral site now each and every year. Arkansas, Texas A&M, they have played extremely close games in recent years. This is the best Arkansas football team we've seen in quite some time, definitely since Bobby Petrino left in that 2010 squad that went to the Sugar Bowl. Arkansas upsets Texas A&M, so definitely take the 6 points in a confidence pick with Arkansas. All right, Washington, Arizona. The Huskies go to the desert as a top 10 team. Check out our Washington, Arizona preview, along with a number of previews of the games that we've already talked about here. But Washington, Arizona, and Arizona has defeated a top 10 team at home 4 consecutive years under Rich Rod, 7-5 since 2005. Still, they will not do it tonight. Washington's too good, too balanced, too strong in their first test going to Arizona. Washington covers 11.5 points. Ole Miss, Georgia. We did a preview on this game as well. Check that out. Rebels cover the 7 points against the Bulldogs and win the game, of course. Tennessee, Florida. Probably the game of the year in the Eastern Division of the SEC. And for the Tennessee football program, in a number of ways, have lost 11 straight to the Gators. Not going to make it 12. Vols win at home. Very close game. Florida opened as a 10-point underdog with one of the best defenses in the country. That is craziness. I wish the line would have stayed at 10. I'll still take the 6.5 and Florida. Tennessee wins the football game. Florida State's in South Florida. South Florida looking impressive against inferior foes. They run up against a Florida State team that was embarrassed last week, and they take it to heart, and they win. Still a competitive game, but Florida State covers 4.5 points. This is a close spread. We'd like the Seminoles to win this one by 10 or 14 points. Florida State minus the 4.5. Confidence pick over South Florida. Nebraska Northwestern, the Huskers with a big win over Oregon at home, travel to Evanston. This seems like a mismatch based on how the two teams have played to date. The Wildcats have lost to 2 FCS teams, but they keep it close enough. Northwestern at home plus the 8 points. Nebraska wins the game. All right. Houston, Texas State. Houston going to cover the points there. Believe that's at 31 currently. LSU, Auburn. Big game on the Plains for both Gus Malzahn and for Les Miles. Auburn keeps it close enough at 3.5, but LSU squeaks out a win with new quarterback Danny Etling at the controls. Stanford-UCLA, another big game here, this time in the Pac-12. Stanford's won 8 straight against UCLA. They go to the Rose Bowl. Maybe this is Jim Moore's best edition since he's arrived in Westwood. Cardinal win the game, and they cover the spread. It has to be proven to me that they are not the best team in the Pac-12 because they have been for a few years now, and definitely one of the top 2 since Oregon arrived and Stanford onto the scene. Stanford wins minus the 3 at the Rose Bowl. And 2 additional picks here. I typically just stick to the top 25 or an extremely compelling matchup, Notre Dame, Michigan, something like that, if they're outside the top 25. But I'm going outside my typical format here because these shot out at me. Virginia Tech, East Carolina. The Pirates have been mighty good against ACC competition in recent years, defeating Virginia Tech a few times. North Carolina, this year North Carolina State. The Pirates cover the 13. So basically Virginia Tech's going to win the game at home. East Carolina, to be more accurate, plus the 13 in this one. I like the Pirates. They rang up over 500 yards of offense against South Carolina. They clean up the mistakes in the red zone, and they cover the spread in terms of the 13 points. And finally, Minnesota at home against Colorado State. The Gophers aren't going to defeat a decent opponent by more than 17 points. Take the Rams plus the 17. Minnesota wins the game. All right, 57-10 overall, 28-25 against the spread. Most importantly, 7-0 confidence picks against the spread. Hopefully we can keep that undefeated streak going this week. See you next time on Mark Rogers TV.